In this video, we're going to be looking at the many differences between the American Madison Square Garden LP and the Japanese versions. The American original came out on June the 18th, which was a mere 8 days after the concert was recorded. The Japanese version, however, didn't come out until August the 5th, so they had a few weeks to make some changes to the artwork and so on. However, I think there must have been quite a few impatient Japanese fans because the American original LP is quite easy to find. I actually have 1, 2, 3 copies of it. 2 of these actually came in sets that I bought, but still, it's a very easy album to find. And another way that you could get the American original was on a box set called World Top Stars Hit Parade. And this was basically a set of 10 imported LPs with a Japanese booklet in a box. And the Elvis LP was an American copy of Madison Square Garden. One of the most striking differences, if you turn over and look on the back, on the Japanese version you get a rather nice photograph of Charlie Hodge. And there's some other guy here with a microphone. If we turn back to the front, you can see the price on the obi there at the bottom, 2,200 yen. And at the time, 1972, the dollar was worth about 300 Japanese yen. So that's over $7 for an album. I think in America, LPs were not really any more than $5 at the time. So it was quite an expensive album. And a regular Japanese album cost 1,800 yen or about $6. So this one was more expensive than a typical Japanese album, and it was also more expensive than an American album. And it came in a variety of different flavors. So you got the red, white, and blue one. There's a lemon sorbet here. And then later on, we got orange delight. And believe it or not, this is not the last one. There are other ones. Going back to the obi for a moment, on the red, white, and blue obis, there's a little bit of text at the top there that tells you that the album comes with a poster, and most of them looked like that 24 by 12 inch poster. But if you're really lucky, you got one that looked like that thing behind me, which is much bigger. If you have a copy of this one here, the yellow obi version, this one came out at the end of 1972, and it doesn't mention anything about a poster on the obi there, but some copies did come with a poster. Another noticeable difference between the American copies and Japanese copies is the Japanese one came with a gatefold sleeve. And on the inside cover there, it points out the side running times, 26 minutes on both sides, so nearly 53 minutes of music, or 2.5 1960s soundtrack albums. And you also get 2 pages of lyrics in English, 9 out of 10 for accuracy, not bad. And you also get a couple of pages of Japanese liner notes in which they discuss each song. They basically stick to the facts, when the song was recorded, who wrote it, who did the original version, chart positions and things like that. But there are 1 or 2 comments on the actual performances as well. So it singles out Elvis's unique arrangement of I Can't Stop Loving You, and it mentions The Impossible Dream as being one of the highlights of the concert. And if you have a copy of the album with the gatefold sleeve without the obi and you're wondering, do I have an original pressing or not? The way to tell is whether or not the gatefold sleeve is laminated. So this one here has a shiny laminated cover, but the subsequent releases are not laminated. The final 2 versions of the LP were actually not in gatefold sleeve, but unfortunately I don't have either one of those to show you. But I do have a white label promo. The promo labels that they were using about this time, from I think from 1972 from memory until the mid 1970s, are very difficult to read. I'll just try and put that as close as possible. The text is in silver on white labels, so it's very difficult to read. I don't know what made them do that. And you can also see there's another difference here, if I can angle that so you can see it. The Japanese LPs are actually banded, whereas the American one is not, of course. The album was also released in 4-channel stereo, what they call a quadradisc, as you can see here at the top. The front cover is slightly different with this silver strip. The obi design is also different. and the back cover has a completely different photograph. Most copies of the quad release also came on the inside there. You just have the lyrics. There's no illustrations or photographs. There is a version without the gatefold sleeve, and if you do happen to have a copy of that, well done, because that's actually the rarest version. And if you want to see a version of that single pocket sleeve, have a look at TCB since 73's Madison Square Garden, because he's got a copy of that. Just returning to the front here again, the Japanese title of the Quadra disc was Elvis on Tour, and they changed the title to Elvis on Tour because the Quad album and the version with the yellow obi, they were released near the end of December 1972 to coincide with the documentary, so they changed the title. The first album with the red, white and blue obi was called Elvis in New York on that first obi, and I think that's probably because to most people, to most Japanese record buyers, Madison Square Garden probably didn't mean very much, so they called it Elvis in New York. And another difference between the Japanese versions and the American versions is, unlike the US version, which only got to number 11 in the charts, the Japanese version actually got into the top 10. Not once, but twice. The first release got to number 4, and when it was reissued at the end of 1972, it got to number 6. So twice in the top 10, where it belongs. So there you go, quite a few differences between the two pressings. The good thing is that just like the American original, all Japanese versions, stereo versions that is, the quad version is a little bit more difficult to find, but the stereo versions are really easy to find. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Cheers.